Think meditation is hard? Do me a favor. Take a slow, deep breath in, and now breathe out. Congratulations. You just meditated. Hi, I'm Krystal Jakosky, and this is Breathe In, Breathe Out, a weekly mindfulness and meditation podcast for anyone ready to own their own shit and find a little peace while doing it. Welcome back to Breathe In, Breathe Out. I'm Krystal Jakosky, and as always, just thrilled and delighted that you are here. Last week, we talked with Emily McGill and had a tarot reading. And if you haven't listened to it, I encourage you to go back and just have some fun and kind of laugh with us. As a brief overcap, we decided that we would pull 3 cards. 2 of them were in honor of our podcast name, Breathe In, Breathe Out. So one of them was, what are we going to breathe in? One was, what are we going to breathe out? And one of them was just a general card about what my listeners really needed to hear in that moment. What did they need to be aware of? And it was fun and enjoyable. It was, I'm familiar with the tarot and I've used them off and on throughout my life, and just pulling out guidance and knowledge from the realms. And I did learn a few things from her that I didn't know before. And it was delightful to talk with her. I want to share with you an experience that I had that feeds directly into that episode. What are we breathing in? What are we breathing out? And then a place to be in the moment. We breathed in dark parts of ourselves that we don't really like. And that may sound like a counterintuitive thing, but it really works. And I'm going to tell you a story because you know me, I love stories, to illustrate it. We breathed out the things that don't really serve us anymore, like being aware of the challenge that are around us, and then just allowing ourselves to find peace. And then our additional card was about balance. It was about letting go and finding that moment and recognizing that balance can be delicate and yet it's beautiful as well. And I want to share a story. I have been dealing with social anxiety. It's a new thing. I have never dealt with it before. It just started in January, ironically, after I got COVID. And it's really been a little bit debilitating because I'll have a conversation with somebody, and after I have that conversation with someone, then I leave, and all of a sudden I'm insecure, and I'm asking my questions like, did I talk too much? Was I personable? Did I offend them in any way? Was I rude in any way? Did I talk over them? Do I need to fix something? I'm sure there's something I fixed. I'm sure that I was offensive. I'm sure that I did something, like questioning so much about myself in that moment and in that experience that I had with them. And I'm not used to being that insecure. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have absolutely experienced insecurity. You guys know this. I've been pretty open about my vulnerabilities, and yet this has been the next level kind of thing for me, where I am so just frozen in this insecurity and frozen in this, like, it almost makes me not want to interact with people because of my fear of offending or hurting or whatever will come out of that. I'm not thrilled with the aftermath that I myself may have to endure because of these encounters. I'm going to give you an example. I recently was chit-chatting with somebody about our passions, our loves in life. And they were telling me about this new hobby that they had. And it was just amazing and thrilling. And they were kind of thinking about opening a store in relation to it. And they were just really, it was beautiful to see them so enthralled and so excited about where their life was going. And I really found myself wanting to support and encourage, and what can I do to lift you up and amplify your efforts so that you can achieve what you want to achieve. And then I talked about my pottery and how I'm loving mugs, and I really want to keep practicing and working on them because I want to get better. and I want to make the perfect mug for myself. Like, what's the perfect mug in my opinion? And I've made a bunch of them and they're fun, but I really want to dial it in. What's the perfect lip for me? And what's the perfect handle for me? And what's the perfect shape and the perfect weight and the perfect size? Like, I really want to just play around with that and enjoy that. And it's fun and relaxing. And it is a beautiful piece of self-care that I get to enjoy. So I was telling her about my mug making and my thoughts and my experience. And I told her about how if a mug comes in more at the top, then it keeps the heat in a little bit longer. So your coffee or tea will stay warmer a little bit longer because there's this point that holds the heat in. And the next morning she texted me and said, "Thanks for the info. This is no longer my favorite mug." And she meant it very genuinely, very kindly, saying, you know what, I know why my coffee gets cold so fast, and I'm really excited to get a mug that will help my coffee stay warmer longer. But my brain read it as, oh my gosh, I've just ruined her favorite mug. I'm sure she's upset with me and frustrated that I did that. And maybe I should have kept my mouth shut. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything. Now, how do I fix this? I really don't know how to fix this. Maybe I need to make her a mug and send it to her. Like, totally asking all these questions about how do I fix this problem that my brain perceived was there. So I texted her and I told her, I'm sorry. And her response was, what are you talking about? And it opened an opportunity for dialogue. So we ended up talking on the phone again. And I was explaining to her that this newfound social anxiety has been so overwhelming. And I've really struggled with just the thoughts that come after. And she was like, really? Shut up. I learned that a lot of people deal with this on a much lesser level, and others deal with it on a much more intense level. Mine feels pretty intense for me, or felt really intense for me. And then we went and we went on a family thing, and again, I just constantly felt myself questioning, did I do something wrong? Do I need to apologize for that? Are people upset with me? Did I do, all over, just really questioning so many things about myself and the situation. And finally, we sat down to play cards. And in that moment, I just looked across the table and I said, I just have to let you guys know that I'm dealing with a lot of anxiety right now. And I'm worried that I've offended or upset you guys, and that my action here or there was a problem. So I want to apologize to you. And they all looked at me like I had grown two heads. None of them understood what I was talking about. And one of them said, wow, thanks for letting us know, but you've been handling yourself we had no clue, and it's not a big deal. Again, it opened up a dialogue for later. And I was so grateful for this dialogue. I was so grateful for this conversation. We were standing in the kitchen and I was talking with this girl, my sister-in-law, and talking about this anxiety. And she helped me remember that we all have these parts of ourselves. And this is what goes back to the tarot. We all have those parts of ourselves that are dark and scary. They are the parts that we really don't want to admit that we have. I didn't want to admit that I was dealing with anxiety. I really didn't want to deal with it at all. The more we squash and try to hide those parts of us without dealing with them, the more they try to pop out and say hello. The harder it gets to keep them down because they are growing so big and they become all-consuming. It's like that boogeyman when you're a kid. You just know that there's a monster under the bed, and you are terrified to get out of bed in the middle of the night because everything is dark and you know that it's going to reach out and grab you. But if you turn on a flashlight, there is no boogeyman. It doesn't exist. If you turn on your bedroom light or your lamp, it's not there. It's all of a sudden gone. As long as it's dark, it can grow. And instead of just being under your bed, it's taken up the entire floor of your room. And now you have to hide under your covers because you're terrified because of this boogeyman. As soon as you turn that light on, I recognize that I have this anxiety. And so I took that. And instead of hiding it and pushing it down, which I tried to do in the beginning, I started shining a light on it and saying, yeah, I see you. I recognize that you're there. And by telling people, hey, I'm just letting you know that I'm having a bit of an anxiety moment and I'm really insecure and I'm worried that I've upset you in some way, it's a brighter light and it shines more under the bed. And instead of being scary, people are able to say, no, it's okay, not a big deal. In this conversation with my sister-in-law, she said, when you acknowledge that it is a part of you, and you say, hey, come here and cuddle up under my arm, and I'm just going to say hi and pat you on the head. Greetings, I recognize you're here. You're not the favorite part of me, and yet I get it. You need to be here. Because I've allowed it to be a part of me instead of squashing it. Allowing it to be present, allowing it to be a part of me means that it does not take over anymore. It's not growing. It's not getting worse. It's not as debilitating because now I've said, I see you. I acknowledge you. You get to be right here. You have value. It's not going to control me. In the tarot, we are breathing in something that we don't necessarily like. I breathed in my social anxiety and said, okay, yeah, I'm going to acknowledge that you're here. It's not so big. Ever since I did that and acknowledged it, I can't really fully explain it other than it's just seemingly it's shrunk a bit and it's more manageable, way less controlling, way less overwhelming. And it no longer pops up with every conversation that I have. Sure, it's there, but it's not as big. It's way easier to deal with, which means that I've shifted into the Lamb, the second card that we pulled, which is, I see you. I know that challenge is there, and I get to just sit in this moment and breathe and know that it's okay. And moving down to the third card, I get to find balance in there. There is a time when my anxiety will be a big deal. And there are times that it won't be anything at all. I'll be somewhere in the middle because I don't want it to overwhelm me. And yet having just a little bit of anxiety might actually be a good thing. It might actually keep me safe from other things. It was really an interesting reading. It was really fun to chit chat with Emily. And I really just wanted to share with you this experience to fully illustrate how that reading so very viscerally applied in my life in that moment. Feel free to share on social media or wherever you're listening to this podcast how it applies to your life. What did you notice? Is there something? What is it that you decided to breathe in? What is it that you decided to acknowledge is there and just accept? And then how did you find balance? Where are you at? This life is a fabulous journey, and I am constantly learning. I am constantly seeing a new side of myself that I get to work on and embrace or heal and let go. This experience with social anxiety, it was really upsetting in the beginning. Leaves me a little speechless and discombobulated because I have not experienced that before, and to have it come up so all-encompassing was, I just, at moments it took my breath away. And now I have the ability to say, no, I don't need to do that. It's okay. I can breathe. I can breathe in and I can breathe out. And I can be so wholly present in the moment. Thanks for listening. Thanks for coming on my journey with me. And I'm excited for next week when you join me here again on Breathe In, Breathe Out. I hope this moment of self-care and healing brought you some hope and peace. I'm Krystal Jakosky on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and I hope you check us out and follow along for more content coming soon. I look forward to being with you again here on Breathe In, Breathe Out. Until next time, take care.